you're going to find a lot of similarities, Nellie, to what we do today and what we've done before.
Well, I probably forgot it. So.
Well, and it's something we can go back to over and over again. She mentioned an interview on Authors Access, and you can reach that from my website. But that's a 30-minute kind of reminder of how all this works. And this process is something you can do over and over again, and each time you do it, you learn something different. But let's keep in mind that this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. And despite the things that happen in our lives, we do rejoice and be glad. And that's what this whole writing exercise is about. Okay, let me give you the story of the oyster, because that's the premise of this whole day's workshop. We keep in mind that the oyster is just this little, non-aggressive, quiet little thing sitting on the bottom of the bay. It sits there, it's just trying to mind its own business. And then in comes a grain of sand. Because we know how oysters eat, right? They bring water in, take out the nutrients, expel the water out. But in that normal process, in comes this irritation. And that irritation gets stuck inside the oyster, and the oyster goes through some very natural processes to make that irritation go away. And through very normal, natural processes, what happens? That irritation, that grain of sand, becomes a pearl. And so we look at the things that happen in our lives, and none of us have perfect lives. Things happen, and what do we do with those things to realize that those are indeed treasures? And you gals know what to do with pearls. You don't hide them, you wear them. For pearls to maintain their luster, you wear them. And so what the premise of today is, one is to pause and realize that we are full of these treasures. We've got to discover what those treasures are. Then we have to take them out. Now, we don't talk about the fact that when you remove the oyster from the pearl from the oyster, that it kills the oyster. We don't talk about that part. But what we talk about is that in opening up, we find the pearls. And metaphorically that works, and for a group of writers I can use metaphors, right? Metaphorically that works because one of the top 5 fears that people have is fear of opening up, fear of that emotional intimacy and sharing who we are. And so when we go through this exercise or these exercises and we open up, it can be painful. Okay? But we open up and say, my goodness, look what's happened in my life. Those are pearls. Those are treasures. It also helps give us a perspective of what's happening in our life right now. That a lot of the things that are happening in our life right now are actually more pearls in the making. There are things that are coming together that are those irritations that we're using very natural processes to make those into pearls. Well, the whole idea is discover and polish the pearls, so we're going to realize they're there. We're going to open up, as it were, to find them. We're going to go through writing exercises to polish them. And then at the end of the day, we're going to spend a few minutes about how do we wear them? How do we wear those pearls? In our behaviors, how do we wear those pearls in our activities, in our volunteerism, in the things that we say, in books that we write, blogs that we write? How do we take that new awareness of all these pearls that are within us and then go forward and share them and wear them and keep them polished? Now, there's a really good book that we're all fairly familiar with. You know, starts with Genesis. You know that book, right? And think of some of the stories, think of some of the writings in that book. The Bible is full of incredible poetry and lyrics and stories, and it's just full of wonderful writing. And there's a lot of good news in it, but there's a lot of good news in bad times. Genesis, yeah, not real good. Garden of Eden's rocking, it's great. Then they get cast out. Then you got Cain and Abel. And then, oh my goodness, welcome to the human race. Then you go into Exodus. Oh my gosh, how long were they lost? We get upset when we're in the mall and we get lost in the mall for 45 minutes. Try getting lost for 40 years. Okay? So we have these things that happen in our lives that irritate us, but all these moments are actually moments of creativity, testing our patience, testing who we are. Okay? We look at Job. Oh my gosh, he had a tough time. How do our times stack up? What do we take from those experiences? And Paul, my favorite guy because he's a letter writer, okay? He's writing from prison. Okay? So the Bible is full of examples of taking what happens negatively in the world and in life, and we do something with it.